HD3 Millville.
More tornado misery in the Midwest. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Our house is gone. A tornado just hit our house.
She's in Ohio, where a large tornado tore through last night after first touching down in Indiana.
Please continue to look out for your neighbors, particularly anyone elderly or vulnerable, as crews assess this damage.
Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley, there's so much debris. Highway crews use snow plows to clear it. Catherine Bodak with Fox 19 TV outside one badly damaged home near Dayton.
Unfortunately for Jason is a principal here in the area. This is a month old. This house is brand new. Luckily, Jason and his wife and two kids, they made it to their safe spot on time. They have a little reading nook in their basement, and luckily their wife put that in, and it was a place for their kids to go, to be safe.
So far, there are only minor injuries, no deaths reported. Tens of thousands of homes and businesses lost power. An attack on elementary school girls lined up at a bus stop near Tokyo, Japan. A man with a knife in each hand screamed, "I will kill you," and started stabbing one after the other. He murdered 2, injured 17, then slashed his own throat, killing himself. President Trump offered his condolences just before ending his 4-day trip to Japan. Fox's Rachel Sutherland, live in Washington.
Dave, after a refueling stop in Anchorage, the president's now bound for Joint Base Andrews. Before he left, he paid a visit to the USS Wasp, docked at Tokyo Bay to greet troops with a Memorial Day message.
Memorial Day links every grateful American heart in eternal tribute to those brave souls who gave their last breath for our nation.
President Trump discussed a wide range of issues with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, including tensions with Iran and North Korea. He also expressed hopes of reaching a trade deal with Japan and China. Dave.
This is Fox News.
At Dell, we know running a small business takes hard work. As a thank you, for all of Small Business Month, we're offering up to 45% off select computers with Intel Core processors. Plus, get additional savings when you call a Dell Small Business Technology Advisor. Call 877-BUY-DELL today. That's 877-BUY-DELL. Additional savings valid May 6th through 30th at 8 a.m. Eastern on select computers from customer calls Dell. Excludes Dell Canvas, PowerEdge T30, and select order codes.
We've all read some surprising online reviews, whether scoping out a spot for vacation or trying to find the best happy hour. So why should finding software for your business be any different? With over 850,000 software reviews, make an informed decision with Capterra. Capterra is the leading free online resource to help you find the best business software. From applicant tracking to workflow software, read reviews in over 700 categories from users just like you. Join the 4 million people that use Capterra each month. Find the right software today with Capterra. That's CAPTERRA.com/radio.
2 rounds of showers and thunderstorms coming into South Jersey today, one this morning, and then another one from late afternoon into this evening, each one capable of producing very heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and even some small hail. In the middle, you might catch some breaks of sun. Look for a high temperature today of 81 degrees. Thunderstorms taper to showers and end completely by around midnight tonight. It'll be breezy and mild tonight, low of 69. Partly sunny, warm, and humid tomorrow, high of 79. More thunderstorms coming in tomorrow evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow on Wpgg Talk Radio 95.5.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Welcome back. This portion of Hurley in the Morning brought to us by Chuck Malamud every Tuesday morning in the 8 o'clock hour. Chuck Malamud is the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program for the entire existence of this program. Chuck is the managing director. He leads his team, the Malamud Group. That is Mike Torpy, Nancy, Kristen, Chuck. They are an incredible team, and I can tell you this as their client. They provide excellence in service, and they are with you every step of the way as you plan everything from retirement planning to college building years, anything that you need to set up. You sit down with Chuck, with Mike, with the entire team, and you tell them your goals, your dreams. Hey, I'm 30 years old now, and I want to retire when I'm 65, or I want to retire when I'm 55. And they will put together a program that will help you get to exactly where you want to be, it's really important that you make the call to 609-383-2010. The program you're about to listen to with Chuck, who is a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley, the information, views, and opinions expressed are those of Chuck Malamut, do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast, subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, member SIPC. I can tell you this much. Chuck always has an ambitious schedule, and today is no exception. I saw something. It was a different analyst, not a Morgan Stanley analyst, but a respected analyst, is looking now at 1% GDP, and I hope he's wrong. This portion of Early in the Morning is also brought to us by The Closet Factory. And I often say this to you, don't let the name fool you, Closet Factory. It's a great name, and it's a wonderful brand, but they do so much more. Office, if you need an office all the time and perhaps a guest room a couple of times, once a month, a couple times a year, I saw at their amazing facilities when I met Charles and the team, I saw the most incredible showroom. The attention to detail, you could eat off the floor, the different technology that they have created. They're incredible craftsmen. You'll have a space planner. You'll have a stylist. They'll be your project manager. And if you're looking for closets to cabinetry, bookcases, entertainment centers, I saw it work. I saw the aesthetics of it. I saw a bookcase that is undetectable, that there is a bed behind the bookcase, and it's perfectly engineered with precision so that it comes down with no effort whatsoever. And then when you're not a guest room, it's your office again. It just works out perfectly. Free design consultation is available. Go to closetfactory.com. Here is a special phone number that the Closet Factory put together for Early in the Morning only. 609-385-2040. That's 609-385-2040. Online at closetfactory.com. This is why I'm endorsing the Closet Factory, and I hope that you will give them a call. Tell them that Harry sent you. 609-385-2040, closetfactory.com. Chuck Malamut, good morning.
Good morning, Harry. Kirk, good morning. Welcome home.
Iceland.
I know. I listened.
Yeah. Came back. It's looking great. What's going on, Chuck?
Well, you know, the market never does sleep, even on a holiday weekend.
Money doesn't sleep either, right?
Money does not sleep, but I'll tell you what, we have had a pretty tough time of it of late. To be honest with you, the last 5 weeks, we've had down weeks.
Is it as simple as China trade and some of the earnings?
I think there's a lot that's happening right now, and I mean, 97%. We'll get into this a little bit. 97% S&P 500 companies have reported, so there really is not a lot of news flow coming with respect to earnings. You know,
but I thought most were doing well.
Well, they were, but I think what is happening here is that the market, and I think we might have said this, and I'm sorry if I'm being repetitive, but it seems like at times we're sort of that broken record where, you know, we are trading on the next tweet, the next press release, the next news story, and there really is not a lot of per se news flow, you know, coming that's of late that has really, you know, driven the market. So, you know, obviously China, you know, and the trade wars is hurting economic growth. I think all of us were of the belief that the deal was going to be done a couple of weeks ago. And I think it was those tweets that the president sent out on May 5th, and that was a Sunday afternoon, that, you know, things aren't going so well. And I'm not quite frankly sure why the Chinese are even coming. But
now he's actually said in the last day or so that the time is not right for a trade deal. He's changed his language.
He's walked it back pretty significantly, and now focusing, you know, on Japan, saying that we're going to make a deal with Japan.
But that won't be until after Prime Minister Abe's election.
Correct. So and the Chinese are saying something a little bit different than anyone had expected. I mean, they're kind of putting their backs up, saying, well, wait a minute, we're not going to just roll over to you. And so if we looked at Friday, for instance, the Dow was up about 95 points. So we ended, which was kind of unexpected. I would think going into a 3-day holiday weekend, especially on the heels of what happened on Thursday, just being a really awful day in the markets, that Friday we would continue to trade lower and then ultimately, sort of limp into the weekend. But, I mean, as it turns out, Friday's gains were not enough to offset the losses that we incurred across the, pretty much all the indices. The Dow dropped, 0.7% for the week. As I mentioned before, the fifth consecutive weekly decline. It's the longest losing streak we've had since 2011. So think about it.
I saw that.
We've had 8 years now it's been 8 years since we've had these, consecutive weekly losses. The S&P, the NASDAQ, both declined for the third straight week. The longest slide that we've seen.
I was going
since
to say, has
December.
that ever happened really in the Trump presidency?
Well, December 2018.
Yeah.
We had 3 consecutive weeks of decline. Now, investors are now at this point in time, pretty convinced that the trade war is going to take longer than anyone had expected to conclude, and ultimately could hurt the economy. Now, we really haven't heard that, for quite some time. It was going to be all the discussions. This is going to be short. We're going to get resolved. We're going to trade. And now we're sort of at I think we're not at trade tensions. We're soon to be at a trade war. And that will have a negative impact on the economy because everything you read, everything that you see, the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, who's paying for this? China is not paying for this. The U.S. government's not paying for this. I mean, President Trump did make a statement, and he's going to help the farmers. To what extent, it's anyone's guess. But the bottom line,
you say to what extent it's anybody's guess? Didn't he just?
But to say and to do are two different things.
$16 billion.
But look, you've been around a long time. To say and to do are two different things.
I don't think he can give them nothing.
I don't disagree with you, but I think the point I was trying to make is at the end of the day, you as a consumer and all your listeners as consumers are going to be the ones that are going to be paying more
correct
for these tariffs. And so in retrospect, I mean, and again, we're not, we don't take this hour, we're not going to talk politics, but the president still has enough time to make this work. But as you get closer and closer to November of next year, and if I'm not suggesting we're going to be where we are now, where we're going to be then, but if things do not improve because, and he's walked this back and the statements that he's making, I think, he's going to, be somewhat of a real challenge. I mean, to the Democrats are going to, we kind of laugh about it and chat about it and who are they going to put up? Is it Sleepy Joe? Is it this one? Is it that one? But, at the end of the day, they might, if we're in a really great economy right now. It's just such a, and I think you've said and Kirk has said it and I've said it, a little bit of, short-term pain for long-term gain. But where do you draw the line in the sand and say, okay.
Well, he's very smart and he does want to win a second term. The only thing worse than not winning the presidency is to be a one-termer. So he will not allow this to protract to where it would cost him his election. Some interesting things in trade that are new news as well. Prime Minister Trudeau has said that he is going to support and put forward the USMCA, I guess it's called,
right,
which means that everybody now is on board. Mexico's on board. Canada is on board. Everybody's on board. The only thing that could stop that now would be the Democrat House if they wouldn't ratify it. And that will be they have not wanted to give him a victory for anything. If they were to stand in the way of that, I think there would be a political price to pay.
I think from the Dem side,
Yes.
absolutely. There's
and you might even see those 24, I'll call them boll weevil Democrats, the Van Drew types, that might cross over and vote for it.
You know, one of the things that we had chatted about, and it seems as if it's been for multiple weeks now, is what's happening here with U.S. manufacturing, and another sign that it's starting to weakening here a little bit is that U.S. durable goods orders, were down about 2.1% last month, and that's obviously amid a slowdown in exports and a buildup in inventory. So that's the latest economic data that we've seen showing cracks potentially in the economy, while we and China end up in these elongated trade wars. U.S. manufacturing was reported, Harry, on this past Thursday, that we are now at a 9-year low with respect to manufacturing. So you think about how strong we are in the service industries. That includes healthcare. That includes our worlds. But in manufacturing onto itself, that has in fact fallen sort of not only say fly by the wayside, but things are getting tougher now than they were just several months ago. So it's something that the market is tuned into. The trade tensions soon to be a trade war, and then ultimately as a result of that, durable goods are down and manufacturing is down, and as we had noted last week,
who was I don't want to cite anybody that's not a Morgan Stanley analyst, but there was a famous analyst that just said that they're downgrading our GDP to 1%.
I didn't see that,
Yeah.
but I mean, I've seen several downgrades in the 2-ish range. But it's like you're sort of swimming upstream, and the question is, how much longer can you swim upstream? And when you kind of take a step back and say, well, how much of this did we actually create ourselves? We always kind of talk, and you get around the country and you see, for the most part, things are booming. There's a lot of construction in parts of this country. There's a lot. We're basically at full employment. But when you start to see manufacturing, to be somewhat on the decline, and the same thing with U.S. durable goods. I mean, while they are lagging indicators, I do think that the stock market, as a leading indicator, is taking those cues and saying, all right, so what are we expected to see in quarters 2, 3, and 4, with respect to earnings? So it's just something that I think all of us need to be very, very conscious of when when you are looking on a day-to-day basis. And if you try to trade this market, it's really, really challenging at this point in time.
Is it more buying opportunities now, or what would you say to that comment?
I think if you're a patient investor, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, but you do have to look at your forward PE, forward price earnings ratios. I mean, they are higher now than what they were back in January before we had the rally, and we oftentimes kidded, saying, "Wouldn't it be wonderful if the year ended right now?" I mean, all the indices, are up in spite of everything that's happened. Roughly 12 to 14%. International markets are up as well. The market that has not done well, as we talked about, has been Japan year to date, and the MSCI emerging markets. That is probably the weakest of the link, so to speak. But if you were patient enough and owned equities in January, I still think, in light of everything that's happening, still should be relatively pleased as to where we are in the markets.
Brief time out. We're going to come back strong in just a few minutes. You're listening to Chuck Malamut, all about your financial matters. To reach out to Chuck to talk about your financial planning needs, and please tell Chuck that I, Hurley in the Morning, sent you. Simple to do. Just call 609-383-2010 in the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office will be at your service. Full financial services planning available through Chuck and his team. We're also brought to you this hour by the exclusive golf club for the Hurley in the Morning program, Harbor Pines Golf Club and Estates, owned by the legendary Gerwicks family. They're at 500 St. Andrews Drive, Egg Harbor Township, on the web at harborpines.com. New Jersey's and the Jersey Shore's best golf options. Listen to this. Friday, $25, 9-hole rate after 4 p.m. Then you stay for the Lobster Fest for the perfect date night. Sunday, couples tournament. And that is a fun 9 and dine event as well. And Monday and Wednesday for our seasoned citizens, it's senior day. Mature citizens receive big discounts. And, of course, it's a wonderful facility. We take full advantage each year. The Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open number 12 taking place on Friday, June 21st at Harbor Pines Golf Club. And proud to say we are sold out, 32 foursomes. So anybody that's looking to play, we actually would have to have somebody drop out at this point because we will not put a second foursome on the 4 par 3s. So our limit is 32. And as of this past Saturday, we're at 32 foursomes. Of course, we can use hole sponsors, which are $250, and you have a nice sign out on the course. We have about 36 of them at this time. They're always very helpful because they help us write grants, because those dollars drive right to the bottom line with no associating costs. So if you would like to sponsor a hole, please reach out to me in the next few days. We're sending to our printer all the sign requests in the near future. So if you have the opportunity to do that, your person, your place, your business will be advertised on the golf course. All of our golfers, 128, will walk past your sign. We have them right as you're teeing off. And if you can be a hole sponsor, reach out to me. We would appreciate your support very much. Chuck Malamut continues in just a few minutes.
The WPG Talk Radio app is everything South Jersey. Local news and information updated around the clock from New Jersey's largest radio news team. Breaking news push notifications just for South Jersey. Easily call and listen to all your favorite WPG Talk shows and more. Download the WPG Talk Radio app for your phone, tablet, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto today at WPGTalkRadio.com.
For nearly 40 years in the Ducktown section of Atlantic City at the corner of Arctic and Georgia Avenues, Angeloni's 2 Restaurant and Lounge has featured the finest Italian-American cuisine in Atlantic City, preparing all meals to order. Lunch is served Monday through Friday, dinner 7 nights a week. Mama Angeloni's on Sundays and on major holiday Sundays at 4 p.m. You can select from a wide variety. This is one of the best deals in Atlantic City history. I would dare say beyond. Not just one prefixed meal, which would be fabulous at $25. You have a wide variety of fabulous 4-course $25 dinner selections. Again, for parties of 10 or less. More than that, Alan will put a group party together for you that you will absolutely love. Angeloni's 2 Restaurant and Lounge, the corner of Arctic and Georgia Avenues, on the web at Angeloni's. No apostrophe, just Angeloni's.com, 609-344-7875 to reserve.
Documenting history and informing our friends and neighbors for decades, and we're still the first place people turn for news and information. We're reliable when other forms of communication aren't. We're there before, during, and after a crisis to keep New Jersey safe. And we don't hesitate to put ourselves in harm's way to bring critical information to our neighbors. And unlike other media outlets, we're free, local, and available to everyone. But providing a free service to everyone is just the beginning. Who are we? We're New Jersey's broadcasters. Hi, this is Paul Rotella, president of the New Jersey Broadcasters Association, and every day of the year, our member TV and radio stations are there, delivering the breaking news and emergency information you rely upon, providing the music and shows that you love most. New Jersey's broadcasters are a vital part of every community that we serve in the Garden State. Find out more at njba.com and wearebroadcasters.com. So keep listening, New Jersey. We're New Jersey's broadcasters, and we're always on the air when you need us. This message sponsored by the New Jersey Broadcasters Association and this station.
Are your credit cards out of control? Owe more than $10,000? Are you paying one card and delaying payment on another? Here's what's really happening here. Your credit card companies are shaking your hand while stabbing you in the back. They want you overextended. Even worse, they hope you think you have to pay it all back. Credit card companies have finally been exposed. There are steps you can take to become debt-free, and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $1 billion of debt. They're regulated by both federal and state agencies, A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and have over 25,000 five-star reviews across accredited review sites. Do not take out a consolidation loan. Do not declare bankruptcy. Settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Call now. 800-828-6563. 800-828-6563. 800-828-6563.
The WPG Cash Casino is open with your chance to win up to $5,000. Here's Harry Hurley with another cash code.
Hey, thanks, Johnny Olson. Thank you, Chris Coleman. My name is Harry Hurley, and this is your chance to play in the WPG Cash Casino. Your code word this hour is fortune. Fortune. Spelling counts. Fortune. Simply go to WPGTalkRadio.com, enter the code word fortune for your chance to win up to $5,000 with WPG. Enter the code word this hour, fortune. I was thinking foursome because obviously that's on my brain with what's going on. We have 32 of them. Fortune is the code word. And remember, one more chance in 1 hour to win up to $5,000 with WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Ladies and gentlemen, Chuck Malamut.
So, Harry, where we kind of left off, we were just looking again a little bit about last week, and another item that sort of rocked the markets here was what happened to crude. I mean, we talked about, right before the holiday, how the price of the pump was increasing, but crude last week, and it all happened pretty much on Thursday, was off about almost 7%.
Good.
And but it was, I mean, yes, for the consumer, temporarily it's good. But again, this is all related to the trade worries.
Yep.
I mean, what happened on Thursday, everybody ran to the hills. The other item, which I think consumers should be happy about, especially if they're going either to buy a home or refinance a property, is the fact that the 10-year Treasury fell to its lowest level that we have seen in almost in a good year and a half. So, while on the surface, lower, sell-off in crude and the reduction in interest rates seems relatively good to you and I as consumers, the fact of the matter is the market thinks, differently about this. I mean, all the market is focused on right now is trade. Every story of every day, it's about trade. Investors.
So if none of this trade stuff had happened, but I'm still a believer that you have to be willing to go through this in order to fix deals that are not as pro-American as they should be. Without this trade stuff, we would just be pushing on unbelievable, right?
I think the situation might be different. I mean, it would be foolish of me to say, for sure, but you think about
how could it be worse?
Every step of the way, it's all related to trade and the uncertainty of trade. I mean, energy last week, technology, they happen to be the worst performing sectors of the S&P. Energy was off 3.5% for the week. Tech was down 2.8%, and you've seen the president come out. I mean, they're basically sanctioning. You're not going to. Huawei is not doing business in the U.S. It's not happening, and as a result of that,
and President Trump has said that.
But
I take a sip of my Icelandic water,
he did walk it back a little bit. He put a temporary 90-day reprieve for the company, but as a result of that, all the chip makers were down last week. Qualcomm, Broadcom, and when a stock loses 18% in a week and 12% in a week, and it's not based on the fundamentals of the company, Harry. Right. I mean, things don't change that dramatically,
no.
But unless these are self-imposed restrictions that is being placed at any particular point in time based upon what I'll oftentimes refer to as the mood of the day. And having said all that, because, and your favorite company, Apple.
Yes.
I mean, Apple took it on the chin, too. Yeah. I mean, Apple.
They always do.
No, but Apple was off last week, over 5%. And it was because of the exposure, to China. So as a result of all that, no industry is immune and no particular company is immune to this. And it's because this battle is, it's going to go from tensions to a battle to, Harry, I think potentially a war. And, Apple, again, being sort of the poster child, the stock is under some real heavy pressure at this point in time. And, it's typically, how you get into it's like going to, it's like going to Wells Fargo to a concert and then somebody yells fire. I mean, what's everybody do? They rush.
Gotta go.
They're rushing to the exit. So I think that's what you're seeing here at this point in time.
Is it a little bit of an exaggeration, though? It's not like the building's on fire and people are running for the exit doors. It's not that hysterical.
It's not that hysterical, but it's at the point in time where it's creating a tremendous amount of anxiety, and the market has truly lost sight of what it's measuring up to.
Let's get our halftime break in 31 minutes, almost 32 minutes past the hour, and then Chuck Malamut will be back to say more brilliant things in just 3 minutes. Don't go away. The exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program, Chuck Malamut. He is the managing director of his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office for all of your financial planning needs. 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010. All aspects, full service financial planning is at your service with Chuck and his team. 609-383-2010. Back in a few minutes with Chuck. I am Hurley in the Morning. This is WPG.
Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and on the WPG Talk Radio app.
This is Harry Hurley for All Season Solar, our official and exclusive solar energy provider to the Hurley in the Morning program. They design and they install the most attractive, efficient, state-of-the-art solar photovoltaic systems from the world's leading manufacturers. What I love about dealing with All Season Solar, they're your single point of contact. They do the system design, engineering, your building permits, installation, and the ultimate glorious utility connection day. They take care of everything under the sun so that you can sit back and reap the savings. Call Frank Neal today, 609-317-5491. That's Frank Neal, All Season Solar, 609-317-5491. There's never been a better time to go solar. The benefits are there. New Jersey leads the East Coast and second largest in the entire United States in terms of solar energy panel installation. No deposits, no hidden fees, no out-of-pocket costs. All Season Solar. Tell them Hurley in the Morning sent you.
You're catering a wedding, and the bride says,
everyone is raving about the hors d'oeuvres. My aunt was asking if you do corporate events.
You look out across all those guests. Your smile beams, your heart pounds. This is the moment when the right business card is essential, and Vistaprint can help. Right now, you can customize 500 cards starting at $9.99 at Vistaprint.com. That's 500 professional cards for just $9.99. So now imagine that same wedding, but this time, you're ready to own the now with a stack of business cards that are as enticing as your entrees. And Vistaprint caters to any small business. You choose the paper, the shape, and the finish. Go with a square card, or maybe one with rounded corners and a metallic finish. Whatever your style, create a card that gives you the confidence to make the most of every opportunity. Because either you let things happen, or you make things happen. Start now at Vistaprint.com and get 500 business cards starting at $9.99. Use promo code 2121 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code 2121. Message and data rates may apply. Up to 8 messages a month. TNC and privacy policy found at purple.com. Reply help for help or stop to cancel.
Not to brag, but the Purple mattress is a pretty big deal. And so is our Purple Memorial Day sale. For a limited time, get up to $100 off and a free set of luxury Purple sheets when you buy a mattress. That's up to $229 in savings, our biggest sale ever. What makes Purple such a big deal? It's the only mattress that gives your back the firm support it needs and the soft comfort you crave at the same time, no matter your body type or favorite sleep position. Dreading those hot summer nights? Purple's one-of-a-kind comfort technology naturally stays cool all night so you don't sweat the bed. Not to mention it isolates motion, is non-toxic, and is made right here in the USA. Because the best rest of your life starts on Purple.
Don't miss out on Purple's humongous Memorial Day sale. Get $100 off and free sheets by texting SNORE to 84888. Shop the best deal yet by texting SNORE to 84888. That's SNORE to 84888.
Credit Karma can help you make financial progress by giving you free scores, reports, and monitoring. But Credit Karma does not give you the love that only a mother can. It's just an app.
I miss my mom.
But you can use Credit Karma to help you improve your credit. But it cannot solve the eternal questions surrounding the human condition.
Oh, come on, I need answers.
But signing up is free. No credit card needed. Just download the Credit Karma app now.
Oh, there's my answer.
Credit Karma. Here's to progress.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Join me tonight at midnight. Now back to Harry Hurley on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, thanks very much. Welcome back. It's 35 minutes past the hour with Chuck Malamut, the official financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. Interesting, in all these last 2+ years, we haven't had many occasions to be speaking about these kinds of goings on because it's been, even though it hasn't been perfectly straight up, it's been many, many good days as opposed to very, very few bad days.
Yes, and so now it's we're sort of in an inflection point here, and are we going to continue on? So think about it. We are now clearly at the end of May. We have another 4 or 5 weeks before we get to the quarter end. We then report, starting July 10, July 12, in that range, second quarter. So we got a pretty long runway here, to digest what's going to happen over the next 6 weeks.
Would you say with the uncertainty of the trade issues, that it's very important that the fundamentals of the country remain strong because we cannot have bad news on top of bad news?
Well, we can't have bad news on top of bad news. And on top of that, when you look outside what is happening here outside of the U.S., the purchasing manager indices that came out during the month of May kind of revealed things aren't terribly great in the global economy, with the exception of Japan. I mean, the economy continues to decelerate. Manufacturing readings in Europe are showing a contraction. As I mentioned to you before, U.S. manufacturing, lowest level we've seen in almost in a decade. Which was at 50.6, which is down sharply from a reading of 53 in April. Final readings for May, because that's sort of what they call the flash purchasing managers index.
Right.
We're going to know in in a couple days, actually, Harry. We'll know actually on June 3rd what the results are for the month of May. So again, I'm not being a Debbie Downer here, but I do think that it's something that your listeners to be aware of, because they're saying, well, geez, how come we're down like for the last 5 weeks? Now, one of the things that we've talked about is what's happening with the Fed. And the Fed, they made it clear at their last meeting that they were at the May meeting that they were really not terribly concerned with the slowdown in growth and the recent drop in inflation. But you have to remember that meeting took place before the trade talks broke down between the U.S. and China. So their patient approach to adjusting interest rates might have shifted a bit in recent weeks. We've talked about, what is the chance that the Fed's going to have a rate cut as we get to the end of the year? And everybody just sort of said, oh, that's impossible. That's not going to happen. But, having said all that, and the 10-year Treasury at the lowest level we've seen, in quite some time, I think the Fed might not be so patient, Harry, and might actually look out and say, maybe as we get into the fall, if things are still where we are. Because think about, what has happened between the U.S. and China didn't happen over the last 3, 4, or 5 years. I mean, this has been, decades.
True,
work.
But this is the first president that's been willing to do what needs to be done to try to correct it. this proves how it appears to be easier to do nothing than it is to do something.
Well, that is for sure.
Because status quo would have been his friend. He didn't do those deals. But here's the thing about President Trump, and I know your show's not political, but this statement isn't either. He's always felt this way about trade. Even when it was 30 years ago and he would be asked by Oprah Winfrey or anybody else, would you ever consider running? He said, well, if. And he said that I'm very, very adamant that we have terrible trade deals and that these other countries eat our lunch. This has been this way his whole basically adult lifetime, all of our lifetime. He's the first one willing to do what needs to be done to fix it. Now, there's a flip side to this. If he scores the MCBA or whatever it's called, and it looks like we will, unless our own Congress thwarted him, which would be just abysmal, and he's had some other successes in trade, and if he does get the Canada or the
USMCA.
USMCA was what I meant before, but if he gets the deal with China, he's got the USMC. I mean, Trudeau has already said it, and everybody else is on board. But if he gets the deal with China, then it's worth this few months that we've endured.
It's a matter of is it a few months or is it longer than a few months?
If it's longer than a few months, it's not good for anyone. It's not good for him as a candidate for re-election, and it's not good for us.
Now, exactly. And that kind of gets me to my next topic with respect to earnings. As we mentioned to you at the top of the hour, Harry, 97% of the S&P 500 constituents have reported. The earnings per share has slipped fractionally by about 0.4% compared to the same quarter a year ago. However, one of the things we always talk about are revenues. Revenues did increase about 5% over the same period a year ago. So, remember last week all the dispersion that we had amongst realtors?
Yes.
Retailers, I should say.
Yes.
With some that missed estimates and the stocks oftentimes suffering losses, of 10% or more compared to like the earnings beats, which were rewarded with similar percentage gains. So you're seeing here that this is now oftentimes referred to as a trader's market rather than an investor's market because they're virtually walking away from poor performers and piling on into companies that have done well. And so that cries out for, remember, there's always a discussion with respect to, are you a passive investor, meaning buying the indexes like the S&P 500, the triple Qs, or are you more inclined to participate in active management, where you hire either a mutual fund or a single or a separately managed account in order to get performance exceeding the benchmark? So I think you're starting to see a little more separation, active versus passive, and we oftentimes suggest to our clients that we're never going to know if you're better off being an active management or passive management, but you probably should own a little bit of both.
Chuck, we're going to take our final break. Very informative, very dispassionate, fair analysis of what's happening in America from a financial standpoint. It's why I often say that Chuck is the best in the business at what he does. 609-383-2010, the Malamut Group, Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. That is the hotline for the Malamut Group. Chuck Malamut, Managing Director. 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. With Chuck Malamut, I'll be right back as well, because I am.
Early in the morning, WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and WPGTalkRadio.com.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Integrity Physical Therapy and the law offices of Richard A. Stoloff, Linwood, and Philadelphia.
We'll be spending a lot more time in the sun as the weather warms up, so it's more important than ever to protect our skin and be aware of any changes. 1 in 5 Americans will get some form of skin cancer. It's the most common type of cancer, but it's highly treatable if detected early. The Skin Cancer Foundation recommends skin checks every month using the ABCDE rule, which stands for asymmetry, border, color, diameter, and evolving. Look for asymmetry. One part of the spot or mold does not match the other. It might have an irregular border and a color that is not uniform. Also be aware of diameter. The spot should not be larger than 1/4 inch across. Finally, notice if the mole is evolving and changing. Protect yourself from skin cancer with daily sunscreen, a hat, and avoiding midday sun.
Brought to you by Integrity Physical Therapy with 4 locations. Put yourself in their hands. And by the law offices of Richard A. Stoloff. Attention you expect, results you deserve.
The Auto Plaza at English Creek. Roll with Mr. Tire.
This is Harry Hurley, and I'm with the Mayor, Charles Kane, owner and operator of the Auto Plaza Egg Harbor Township. Mayor, tell your listeners who are looking for a car, why should they choose the Auto Plaza?
Harry, it's our full-service department, selection, and hassle-free financing alternatives that have set us apart for over 17 years. Over the years, we've been the recipient of many sales and service awards, as well as receiving an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. It's been a real honor for us. We are now serving a second generation of sales and service customers. Stop in today. You're going to love our staff and experience what makes us different.
For all of your automobile service, parts, and sales needs, call the Auto Plaza at 609-646-2447. That's 609-646-2447. And visit us on the World Wide Web at myautoplaza.com.
The Auto Plaza at English Creek. Roll with Mr. Tire.
Are your credit cards out of control? Owe more than $10,000? Are you paying one card and delaying payment on another? Here's what's really happening here. Your credit card companies are shaking your hand while stabbing you in the back. They want you overextended. Even worse, they hope you think you have to pay it all back. Credit card companies have finally been exposed. There are steps you can take to become debt-free, and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $1 billion of debt. They're regulated by both federal and state agencies, A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, and have over 25,000 5-star reviews across accredited review sites. Do not take out a consolidation loan. Do not declare bankruptcy. Settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Call now. 800-828-6563. 800-828-6563. 800-828-6563.
Your next chance to win up to $5,000 is at 9:20 this morning. Now, Harry Hurley on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Welcome back. Chuck Malamut continues all about your financial matters. A reminder, Chuck Malamut and the Malamut Group of Morgan Stanley, Northfield, New Jersey fame can be reached at 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. A reminder, earlier the better. If you're about to have children, start that college builder right off the bat. When you sit down with Chuck, you would be amazed when we talk about all the time I think it's a bubble, the student loans, the parent plus loans. If you know that your child is about to be born and you start to put in for that college builder and it's growing all those years, 18 plus years, it's extraordinary the way that you can avoid a lot of financial problems later. Chuck, what's your next topic?
So, Harry, let me give you a little bit of good news.
Good.
All right,
good news.
It's been. I don't want to sound like we've been Debbie Downer for this hour so far, but believe it or not, last week the House passed what is referred to as the Secure Act, and you might want to make a note of what this represents, Harry. It's the setting every community up for Retirement Enhancement Act.
Oh,
wow. The Secure Act. Now,
wonderful.
so what happened was on Thursday, the House passed this act by an incredible vote, 417-3. It was backed, obviously, by both Republicans and Democrats. And the aim of all this is to improve our retirement system throughout the whole country. Now, if the Senate passes the bill, and the bill's going to be a little bit different, their version, then it'll be sent to the president. Now, the president or the administration has not taken a formal position, but lobbyists who support this say they expect the president to sign it into law. So think about, Harry, when was the last time you had both sides in the House and the Senate actually, make some progress. Now,
it's like Halley's Comet's flying by tonight or something. It's crazy.
What is happening, if this passes, it's going to be the most significant change to retirement plans that we've seen, Harry, since 2006, 13 years, when the Pension Protection Act, made it easier for companies to automatically enroll their employees into the 401k plans. That's oftentimes referred to as, quote, auto-enroll. So here are some of the provisions that I think that are important for your listeners to understand with respect to the Secure Act. We oftentimes talk about the required minimum distribution, or the RMD. And the way it's set up now, if you have an IRA account and or a 401k account and you're not working in the company where you have the 401k at age 70 and a half, you're required to take a minimum distribution. And that distribution is based upon the account value at the prior year end and basically a factor. It's a table that the government supplies us based on mortality. If you do not take the RMD in that particular year, let's say, Harry, your RMD is $10,000 and you either forget or neglect or a combination thereof to take that RMD, the IRS will fine you 50%. That's 50% of the RMD. So you're going to pay a $5,000, fine to the government. So what is in this bill, Harry, is increasing the required minimum distribution age for retirement accounts to age 72. So a year and a half from age 70 to age 72. Now, Harry, that doesn't sound like a lot as far as time, but think about if you can extend your distribution by 1.5 or 2 years plus, you're able to grow that account balance over those last couple of years. It's also one of the other provisions. It's going to allow long-term part-time employees to participate in 401k plans. It's going to allow more annuities to be offered in 401k plans, because oftentimes participants want to have a guaranteed stream of income. Parents can withdraw up to $5,000 from retirement accounts, penalty-free within a year of birth or adoption for qualified expenses. And parents can also withdraw up to $10,000 from 529 plans to repay student loans. Ooh. Repay student loans, not necessarily using it for expenses.
Right, with no penalty.
With no penalty.
So recognition the student loan issue is a significant problem.
Right.
And they want to give people an ability to try to pay it down.
So the purpose of all this is it's sort of a stepping stone to solve the looming retirement crisis. We oftentimes talk about how poorly prepared we are as a nation when it comes to retirement. We spend more time planning our next vacation than planning our retirement. So now, the government has actually stepped up and said, okay, most Americans are not prepared for what is referred to as the golden years. I mean, there's 36% of non-retired adults think that their retirement savings is on track. 36%. So that means that there's 60% plus,
64
that are of the belief that they don't have the assets in place to retire.
And out of the 36%, a number of them are wrong.
Well, not only that, but 25% of Americans have absolutely no savings or no pension or no retirement plan in place. So now, one of the things that has happened, small businesses were oftentimes really did not want to take on the burden and the cost of starting and implementing a 401k plan. So what is happening here? Government is looking to offer incentives for employers to offer 401k plans, and there's payroll deduction. You think about it's a chore to start, but it is something that is really, really important. Government's trying to get small businesses to band together to sort of create a national 401k plan. I'm not sure how that's going to work. It might sound better than it actually happened is, but bottom at the end of the day, small businesses can lower their plan costs with the implementation of sort of getting all together with respect to lower investment and administrative fees. So you think about it. I mean, this is a big deal.
Oh,
and you know, what I am so perplexed about is that it literally nobody knows about it.
No.
I mean, you this is what you do for a living. So I know that you're aware of it, but
I heard of it, but I didn't. You just did a great public service because I didn't realize all these things that you talked about. I heard of it, and it was interesting to me for a lot of reasons. Number one, because I think it's good, but also we've had very little agreement in government. They're even against things they're for just to stop the other side. Here's a topic, Chuck, that I would love you to have a couple of minutes to talk about, and we're about 4 minutes left in the program. Social Security that you and I talk a lot about on your program, but we've never talked about this one before, and I find it interesting because, and I hate to say this, but half of marriages end in divorce, so this is half the married people, and everybody at some point dies. So the divorced person survivor benefit, why is that a topic this week?
So I think oftentimes there's a lot of confusion with respect to Social Security. What we oftentimes recommend to our clients and our prospective clients is, take the time, carve out the time and make an appointment to go see Social Security, because this is a benefit that you have worked for and you've ultimately have earned over your lifetime, at least 40 quarters of work to qualify for Social Security. So a divorced person who's married for at least 10 years is eligible to collect Social Security survivor benefit when their ex-spouse dies, even if the ex-spouse had remarried.
Aren't they also entitled to collect even while this former spouse is alive?
Depending on the age.
Yeah.
So what happens is, and again, because there's so many nuances with respect to Social Security. I mean,
I happen to know somebody that's doing this, not the survivor benefit, but the divorced person's benefit. Right. And it's actually, for those that don't know that you're entitled to this, it was a pretty impressive amount of money that they're going to get.
Well, that's what it gets down to is it's like you're leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
And I don't think Social Security is going to reach out to you and say, oh, by the way, we noticed that you've been divorced. And
I know you're not playing tax attorney or anything like that, but how does that affect your Social Security that you've earned?
Harry, I'm really not certain of that. And
I think you're entitled to yours.
You should
and you're
be entitled to
the
yours.
benefit.
We oftentimes, when we run the retirement analysis, or the life view as we refer to, is we're looking at, under traditional normal circumstances. And as a result of that, how much you receive, when you collect, can you wait to full retirement age? Do you wait to age 70? How long do you have to live to get all that accomplished? So I think if there's any point to be made here, I mean, I'll tell you, 90% of the people we talk to, I say, you really need to go down and talk to Social Security. If we're in person or if we're on the phone, there's this long pause. It's like,
oh, yeah.
Well, I don't want to go do that.
Well, I will tell you that it's good to do what you're saying, and it's a very important appointment. But at the Social Security website, you can also get a tremendous amount of information.
There's information there, absolutely.
I don't get the paper thing anymore. I went totally electronic. I can go on my account. I know exactly if I retired now or if I retire at full age, what I would get. And let me ask you this, perfect segue in the final minute and a half that we have. There are people listening right now, I'm sad to say, and all around this great country who are never going to retire.
Well, Harry, it's really kind of sad. 35%.
A friend just pointed to himself, meaning himself. But there's a difference between wanting to work and having to
35% of American workers that were surveyed anticipate that they're going to be at least age 70 before they can retire. So
haven't you seen many retirees go back and they're working again?
Yes,
because they don't
absolutely.
have enough
they don't
to
have
be
enough.
retired.
They don't have enough. Either they planned it poorly or they spent too much.
They've
taken on too much risk or whatever, and it just, they need to sort of recalibrate.
Here's what I want, Chuck. I want people to be able to retire if they want to, work if they want to work, because there are a lot of people that, and you know this, Chuck, they go and they get retired, and in a month they're going crazy because they're so used to being in the game and they can't take it. So if you want to work, that's beautiful, but you should plan so that you don't have to work. Having to work is a whole different psychology.
Wanting to work and having to work are obviously two different things.
609-383-2010. Chuck Malamut, the best in the business. The Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office at your service for all of your financial planning needs. Until next week,
Harry,
Chuck.
thanks for having me. Have
a
good week.
And I know you'll be a game time decision next week.
Correct.
All right. Dr. Bob Zlotnick will be arriving to Broadcast Center momentarily.
95.5 FM and 1450 AM WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ 97.3 HD3 Millville.
There's a lot of damage, but no deaths reported. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Scariest moment of my life, honestly. We're lucky. We're lucky to be here.
He's in Ohio after tornadoes ripped through late last night. One tore a path from Indiana into the Dayton area, damaging homes, ripping roofs off businesses and a school, taking down trees and power lines, many roads impassable.
The Montgomery County Sheriff's deputies were out all night long conducting rescues. Primarily what they were doing